Happy Tuesday, everybody. Let me adjust the music a bit. I think that's better for having a conversation. That anybody's here, that's all right. I can live with it. Yeah, I'm not trying to make this a career or anything. I'm just streaming for the fun of it. But it's a lot more fun when people show up. Apparently, I can't wolf food down like I used to. So, Ammo.Rocks. Now I've built a good portion of a game actually. I kind of felt like it had gotten to the beta stage um, before some things threw it off the rails, and uh, it had to do with the engine I used before, and then they made a big change to their underlying code, which meant that I would basically have to start over, and I didn't really want to start over just to have them do that again to me. Um, and that could happen with um, any game engine you work with. They can make changes that screw things over. But with Unity, um, you can keep the version that you already downloaded and use that until you're done. You don't have to get the updates. You're not forced, which is kind of what happened to me. And I'm not going to disparage them because they might have improved since then. And it was 2 years ago that I was working on this project. So anyway, um, I decided that I would revisit this one, partly because it's relatively simple compared to some of the game plans that I have. I have a lot of game plans, um, and this one's relatively simple. Um, Originally, it was going to be a tank game, uh, but I realized that really wouldn't be as much fun. Um, and I'm not as much of a tank person. I'm more of a space person. I'm a space cadet. So, um, I transitioned to asteroids, and the idea was always to be a team based game. Um, and, and and so in the team ideas, uh, well, it's basically going to end up being an action RTS where you're basically playing asteroids, but instead of blowing them all up, you have to harvest things from them to get resources to upgrade your ship or to upgrade your base and get better than the other team and beat them to the objective, whatever that happens to be. Um, you know, the idea was to have the short uh, rounds of action. It's like 10 minutes to half an hour of playing the game with two teams against each other, and then you can do it again with another team or even the same team, or you can switch up who's on teams. The point is teamwork and resource management and collection, and shipbuilding and base building with the resources you collect. And upgrades on the base are going to affect everybody on the team. So some things, like one of the upgrades for the bases that I wanted to do was to increase respawn speed, uh, because the base needs to build your next ship uh, when you blow up. So if you go out and you die, you have to wait for the base to build you a new ship. Um, anyway, those are the high level concepts. It was going to be 2D top down view, uh, easy to get into. Um, and this project I just started today. Uh, I've been going through some stuff. I got the fish net uh, multiplayer system, um, and I grabbed their tutorial, which is why you can see server and client here. Uh, and it's kind of set up for uh, your fairly standard, uh, very simple um, first person movement. There's no, like, I don't think it even has running. It's just a simple little thing. But I mean, okay, it does have running. I mean, but it's simple. It's and it's kind of intended to be for a 3D view, and I'm gonna end up making it a I mean, everything's gonna be rendered in 3D, but the gameplay is gonna be 2D top down. Um, and that I think will make things pretty cool. It'll look good that way because they're actually 3D models, and all the lights will shine the right way. And um, I did have some art left over from the previous version. Let me pull up the old ship, because ship construction, adding on to your ship was always part of the idea. And uh, I had built the ship in Blender. Built the ship in Blender and had the little the little guy, the little radar on it, spinning around. And if I can, yeah. Zoom in. So that was the ship, and this is all transparency. So it would rotate and go the direction you wanted. Had a little gun here. Actually, this was the collection system, and then there was another turret on here that fired the weaponry. Um, but I didn't like that if I rendered it and then pulled it in actual 2D, if this turned around, um, the shadow also turned, like the light itself came from. I didn't like that. So I wanted to go more 3D, and well, here we are. Let's do it. um, you can see the asteroids I made as well. They're not great. They're a little different from each other, and all I had them doing is rotating. I didn't have them like spinning in 3D. But I think I want at least some of the asteroids to be spinning in 3D. And the asteroid fields can be either generated or hand built. That was something I wanted. So people could make maps that had like mazes that you had to navigate through. Like, maybe there's no way for a huge ship to pass through here, so you can't send big ships out of your team range. So anyway, it could make for interesting gameplay. That was the point. And then the random stuff would just be random. Not 100% random. Nobody ever does 100% random. But, random placement of the asteroids so that you have to, you still have to go find the asteroids to get stuff to increase your resources to do the upgrades and get better than your opponents. But what we're here for today, I was just going through some Code Monkey tutorials, and what I've got now is a some leftovers from this. So the grid, I'm gonna have to change because well, the idea is that you build onto your ship. Your ship starts out as an equilateral triangle, which includes the core that's a hexagon, 2 thrusters, and a front weapon. And that's the basic ship. And then when you get upgrades, your upgrades will all be triangles. Equilateral triangles or multiples of equilateral triangles to add onto your ship wherever you want to put them. And you can rotate them. So I need a build grid, and so I was looking up how people did grids, and this is a square grid. I need a triangle grid. So I figured I'd start with a square, and then I could adjust things to make the triangles, and I did manage to make a triangle render. There's the triangle. I should move it down, but let me see if I can. Triangle. Move down. There we go. There. So I was able to make a triangle, and the triangle is actually it's not something that I made in anything but code. see here, triangle mesh gen. That's the triangle. There's no model anywhere for it. I did the math to figure out where the points of the equilateral triangle would be if 0.5. Yeah, so the bottom of the equilateral triangle is 1. So the top, yeah, from the bottom to the top, it is going to be, I mean, it's going to be 1 long. So from here to here is 1 unit. And from here to here is 1 unit. And from there to there is 1 unit. There to there. And so I did the math to get the number that I needed to use. And I think I need to actually do more math in code in order to get this to extend to be a triangle grid that will underlay the build system. And I'm gonna have to look up some formulas to make that happen. There. It's prettified. There's 2 triangles here. There's the first one that is 1, and then there's one that is 10% larger. And then all of these triangles are the mesh that makes up that whole triangle that you can actually see, because you can't see individual lines, but that's all other places. I don't know if I'm going to do UVs on these guys. And I might change the material properties. Because I think it should be, I mean, the grid, the build grid should be a kind of a UI thing. Emission. There you go. What's that look like? It still has shadow on it. I need to move it down permanently. Dang it. Triangle. About there. Emission. No global. Maybe that'll help. Albedo? No? Okay, let's see what that does. Still gets a shadow. And that's interesting. The bottom line is thicker than the other lines. Huh. Yeah, I definitely need more math. And I'm gonna have to look up how to make no shadow material. I don't want to do the HDRP. Mesh renderer, there's an option not to cast a shadow. Hmm. How about lit material? There's a package for it. Bad request. How many times do I click on a unity.com link and it says bad request? No. I guess maybe their website's broken again. Or I have to do one of those stupid. Yeah, finally let me log in. Sorry, it didn't exactly let me log in. What it did was it showed me where I could fill in the login information. There, now I'm logged in. Now if I go back to this, open that in a new tab, it still says it's a bad request. Interesting. I have a lot to learn about Unity, I really do. Wow, that's shiny. Hmm. So there's a UI lit. What's your problem? Local server stopped for tugboat. But why? Ports unavailable. Great. How do I fix that? Probably restart Unity. Save it all. Might as well. Save all. Exit. Okay. That worked. Ah, no shadow on it. That's what I wanted. Okay, cool. Anyway, that was little. It's just, you know, things I run through. Right. Scripts. So, testing. So some of this information here was good. It's a good plan. Um, gonna build a bunch of it for myself. Not grind, grid. Triangle grid. Wait. I learned something today. Assets. Open C# project. And now it's got all of these guys actually working. Excuse me. So, in my grid, we've got the CodeMonkey utils because we use the utils class create world text. And that's what makes the numbers floating in the sky on here. And that's useful for debug. Same with the debug draw line. But I do want this grid to be visible to the player, so I can't use debug draw lines because those don't show up if you don't have gizmos on. So if I come in here, I hit play, and let it run, start the server, start the client. So here we are, and if I escape and I just turn off gizmos, the text stays, but the lines don't. Interesting. Of course, there's the big gizmo for showing the UI. Stop that. That's in here. It has the indicators. It says server, it says client, and it's a network hub canvas. And that disappears after we've run, doesn't it? These two things go away. We do that and that. No, they sit there. Okay. Something else to fix later. I really should just work on one thing at a time. I just do a lot of switching around. Ah, the cat has arrived. Meow. 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 Meow, wow. Meow. Alright. It's time to code with the cat in the lap. I should be relatively happy with that. Alright. So... I guess I should work on the HUD and maybe the menu. Or some sort of menu state. Like I said, I've got a lot to learn about Unity. Don't want a video because I'm streaming. What's this? It doesn't say how old it is. Okay. How about I go to the top? I say tools. I say past year. Unity UI, simple player HUD. Oh, there's something else I should do. I should get rid of that and that. I should probably just yoink this whole setup, because really, it's this part I kind of like, because like base's owner, so it's on start client, so this is the networking stuff. So if the client started and this is the player, this is the player object. If it started the client, it doesn't matter which player it is. It runs, it says if the network connection, which is the base because it's the network behavior. So if the network connection owns this player, then it's this player, the player that's looking at this screen. If not, then we don't control it. But I am going to need a camera control system. Which might actually already be in CodeMonkey's utilities. sounds like something he would have in there. Camera follow setup, component actions, position renderer sorter. Not quite. Look, a circle. Yeah. Resources. Okay, so utils. Utils class. I saw that one already. So the closest he's got is in mono behaviors. Camera follow. Script to handle camera movement and zoom. Place on camera game object. So, main camera. Script to handle camera movement and zoom. Place on camera game object. So, get main camera. Put camera follow. And then camera follow setup. Easy setup for camera follow. It will follow the transform with zoom. It's hard to read in there. Camera follow, transform, follow transform. So you just put this on something in the game. I get it. So, like, put it in world. Right? Put triangle. Follow transform. Put main camera. And then if we hit play, ah. Well, that's interesting. I think maybe I didn't save. Does help if I hit play. Ah, yep, I didn't save. And now it's following something that I can't see because it's not positioned correctly. I'll figure it out eventually. All right. Yeah, there's a lot to do. So I guess I'll just keep reading. Keep working on it. I'll go back to things that I actually know how to deal with. Public int. Size. So each cell is going to be triangle size, which is the length of one of the sides of the triangle. So it doesn't matter if it's a triangle that points up or a triangle that points down. They're all going to be the same size because they're all equilateral triangles. Doesn't matter. And what else do I want? Float border size. Base color. The concept of the triangle grid is that it's just kind of a background where you then know where to place things in the grid. Size and color. Color doesn't work. It has to be a material, doesn't it? Does it? Does Unity have vertex color? Without a specific shader. Say mesh color. That's the same thing. Well, that would be kind of cool to do, because if I'm generating meshes, I could generate meshes with color and colorize all my own stuff without having textures. And that would be interesting. Especially if the shader doesn't do shadows. It would make for an interesting classic, just the shapes. You know, like Agario or Diepio. But no, I want more than that. Yeah. I guess this is not going to work. Might be something for a derived class, though. So then you could have a material that represents, you know, plain, good, or bad. So like if you try to put something in a spot, you get a red version, a red material on that grid space instead. You could have like an indicator, but if you're like going to build something there, then you should have the somethings mesh, and then you want to give it a transparent good or bad material, so that, you know, when you're trying to place something in various games, it turns red when you can't place it there, but it turns green or just neutral when you can place it there, and then you place it, and if there's like a construction time, then it has another color that it's transparent, and then maybe it fills in or fades to the non-transparent version. That's the idea with the grid. It's like I want to be able to, you know, grab an upgrade from the list of available upgrades, rotate it, position it, click it down, and then the upgrade will start, and the materials, the resources will start flowing out of storage and out of the core of the ship to fill it in. And then when it's done, it's fully there and ready to be used. But the grid is underneath it. and it'll just be used to assist in positioning things. So it should have like a public vector 3 get center x y int x int y. Yes, I know. Fine. What do you mean? Fine. What do you have? Is that good enough? Actually, I think that's what I need to do. Vector 3 dot 0. I don't need a new vector 3 dot 0. What? What do you want? What are you talking about? Use expression body for methods. What are you talking about? Oh, yeah. Um, it's not actually an error. What are you doing, cat? Meow. You're just being a pain, huh? It's not always easy to work with a cat in your lap. Alright, so... So the idea for get center is you give it the X and the Y of the triangle grid position so that you can snap something to this center. So you can set the position of an object to that center. So hopefully when I get around to building the models, the mesh stuff in Blender to import, I'll set the centers properly so that when they're imported, when they're moved into position, the center is in the center and it all just works. That's the idea for get center. Now the other grid. I mean, it's really simple for squares to make a grid. But for triangles, it's not so simple. There's the ups and the downs. And it's going to be a little more complicated to find which cell in the grid is being pointed to because they overlap in X. You'd be able to get the row pretty easily, but the triangles left to right are going to overlap in X. Let me... So, the idea is... First, stupid. Okay. So, if you have so you have a grid of triangles. This is X. This is Y. And somehow you got to figure out if you're pointing to this one or this one, but the X is overlapped. And I know I drew it crooked. It's just how my mouse went. So anyway. So there's math involved here. I don't know yet. I mean, I'm sure I've done it before, but too many years ago. So in order to duplicate, not that one. In order to duplicate the get XY, which I do want, because it makes sense. There. Now it won't. Now it'll compile, even though I didn't do anything. And the way they worked, the way Code Monkey figured that out, was just the world position, cell size. It's really easy when all you have to do is deal with X and Y, and simple division gives you exactly where you need to be. But I need more than that. Now, I might be able to use what's it called? So where's this? Oh, let's look at the testing. Utils class, get mouse world position. Which is supposedly the raycast to the mouse. Yeah, where the mouse is pointing? I'm not 100% sure. Let's look it up. Get mouse world position. So, vector 3, get mouse world position with Z. Input mouse position, camera main. Wait, so that's here. So if you just call it with nothing, it gives you this same response. Screen to world point. World camera, screen to world point. transforms a point from screen space into world space. World space is defined as the coordinate system at the very top of your game's hierarchy. So hex, hex to decimal, decimal 01 to hex, just hex to decimal 01. Get string from color, which is what all those hexadecimals were all about. And then you add all the strings together. Good color utilities. Get a random color. Sequential colors. Okay. Maybe I'll play with that later. $255. Get random direction. Vector from angle. Mass dragging. Some of that might be obsolete with the new input system that Unity has, but I haven't used it yet, so I don't know yet. Shake camera. Action next frame. Delegate system action. Random element from array of whatever. Yeah, melee dots, which we don't use in the US because you can't have more than one decimal point. I should copy that and make millicommas. Or fix it to be international, or just don't use it. Whatever. Interesting. JSON processing. So this would be util class. Utils class dot destroy children, and then you just give it a parent. And then it destroys all the children and the game object that the transform is assigned to. Wow. Destroy all children and randomize their names. Useful if you want to do find after calling destroy, since they only really get destroyed at the end of the frame. I don't get it. Destroy all the kids except for these names. Move parent and the children to this layer. An ID string. Interesting. Not very reliable. Bunch of male first names for some reason. Color arrays. Base array and overlay. Interesting. Is color similar? It's an interesting way to go about it. You get all the differences. Add the differences together. If it's within max diff. Then it's close enough. Technically, this could have just been total diff equals get color difference. Color A, color B, and then return that. But whatever. Random position within rectangle. Time, hours, minutes, seconds. Time character strings. Print milliseconds. Get time milliseconds. Position list around position with a distance and a number of them. So if you have a high enough number, you get a circle with distance radius. Interesting. Ring 0. Bring position list. Get position around. Oh. Get position list around. So if you send it arrays of distance and counts. I don't understand the point of that one. Position within rect. That's why hold on. Clone transforms. Debug, draw circle. Draw character with the debug lines? That had to take a while to make. I wonder why the got it up here. Disabled because of build. Bit month name. Zero based. Tools. Remove duplicates. There's a lot of good utilities in there. And now I've forgotten what I was looking for in the first place. Yeah. After all that, my brain is gone. So, triangle grid. Yeah, I think that's gonna do it for me. Just try to dump some of the remaining thoughts out into the files and shut it down. If you've not gotten bored and quit and left, I'm honestly very surprised, and thank you. And maybe next time you can come in when I'm live and we could like chat and be less boring together. But no, that's gonna do it for me. I'm uh, I'm fading mentally, physically, all the lees. So thanks for coming by. I hope you enjoyed. I doubt you did. Um, so until next time, I've been Alderin, and have fun. Let me now see if I can raid somebody. Not that it matters, because, there's nobody here to raid with. I think I won't even bother. Thanks all. Have fun.